All right, welcome all. This is the Historic Preservation Commission meeting of 15th of September 2020. The time is 6:49 p.m. and we have a busy agenda tonight. So I'd like to start off with the first things that are on the list are a memorandum of agreement for 55 Heath Street and 181 Broadway. And these are ones that the commissioners have seen in draft. Has everybody had a chance to read those?
Mr. Chairman, should we do introductions before we get into the meat of the meeting?
We could do that. We could do that. My name is Alan Bingham. I'm the chair of the meeting tonight. I'm a resident of Ward 6. Mark?
Mark Sternman, Vice Chair of the Commission, resident of Ward 5.
Caitlin?
Caitlin Hart, architectural historian, member and secretary, and a resident of Ward 2.
Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin Kelly. I am the Realtor member and a historic homeowner in Union Square.
Eric Parks?
Hi, I'm Eric Parks. I live in Ward 3. I'm an architect.
Adam?
I'm Adam Wiley. I live in Ward 2, and I am a construction manager and contractor.
And staff? Staff?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. It's unusual. Sarah White, I am a zoning planner and preservation planner for the city of Somerville.
All right. With that, let's go straight to 55 Heath Street if we could. Has everybody had a chance to read through this?
Yeah.
Okay. I had no issues with this. I'm just a little bit sad that it turned out this way because of the preservation of the property at 55 Heath Street, but the MOA seems reasonable. Who am I hearing?
Mr. Bingham, Cindy Sherman. I represent Lynn Thompson, the owner of the property.
Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to add to the? Have you seen the draft of the minute of memorandum of understanding?
I have, Your Honor, and I would recommend that the commission adopt the memorandum of understanding. I know that it's somewhat bittersweet, that you all hope that there was some solution to be able to save or salvage this barn, but my client did try. She actually contacted more people than Sarah recommended to try to see if there was a way to salvage the barn in whole or in part. And she can't find anybody that's interested. So given that, I would ask that the commission adopt the memorandum of understanding.
Thank you very much. I'll ask for the other commissioners to buy in on this.
The title line says 26 Hawthorne Street, which I assume it should say 55 Heath Street.
Yep.
Sorry, Mark, can you just identify yourself each time you talk because we can't?
Sorry, Mark Sternman.
You should. Yep.
With the comment about the title line.
Yep. And thank you for catching that.
And any other comments?
Seems fine to me. This is Eric Parks.
All right. Then we'll put it to the vote to adopt this memorandum of agreement. All those in favor, please say aye, and then we'll do a roll call. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Robin?
Aye.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I'm Alan. I say yes too. Okay, so thank you, applicant. We'll proceed with that.
Thank
the next
you.
The next item is 181 Broadway. Has everybody had a chance to look at this?
Yes.
Has anybody got any thoughts on this? Okay. Then I'd like to put this to a vote to accept it. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, and once again, the roll call is Robin,
Yes.
Mark? Hello, Mark. We'll come back to
Mark,
Mark.
you're muted.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I agree too. We haven't heard from Mark, have we? Mark, are you still there? I'll put him down as an abstain then because he's not here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and 1 abstention. All right. Moving along to the next item, which is the determination of appropriateness. The first item would be HPC .alt.2020.15 8 Aldersley Street, which is re-advertised from the August meeting, which we didn't hold, to construct a rear deck. Is the applicant here with us?
I'm going to have to ask if Charlotte Lease would please look. My mouse seems to have frozen. If Charlotte Lease would look to see if Matt Ball is here, and if so, would she unmute him, please?
This is Charlotte speaking. Matt, you are unmuted.
Hi, Matt, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry, I thought I'm unmuted now.
Okay, good. Matt, did you get our introductions earlier when we started the meeting?
Unfortunately not. I joined late, having the wrong URL initially.
Oh, okay. Well, just to share with you, we'll do the introductions one more time. For those that were late, I'm Alan Bingham. I am the chair of the meeting tonight. I'm a Ward 6 resident and a homeowner of a historic home. Mark, are you there? Okay, let's move on to Caitlin.
Sure. Hi, I am Caitlin Hart, the architectural historian, member, and secretary, and I'm a resident of Ward 2.
Adam?
I'm Adam Wiley. I'm a resident of Ward 2 and a construction manager and contractor.
Eric?
I'm Eric Parks. I'm a resident of Ward 3. I'm an architect.
And I've introduced myself. So, Matt, would you like to explain to us what you're proposing here for 8 Aldersley Street?
Sure, yeah. So my backyard is currently on a relatively steep hill, and there's a stone patio that is split into 2 different heights, sort of following the hill. And what I would like to do is construct a deck instead, so that I have much better use of the space in the backyard. So because of the hill, I will need to construct a handrail around the deck for safety reasons. But mostly my goal here is a fairly simple deck and to be able to actually use more of my outdoor space than I currently have.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like to open this up for commissioners for discussion. Commissioners, you have thoughts on this? I know that we've seen this property before at Aldersley Street. Robin, any thoughts?
I appreciate that the structure will not in any way impact the original structure that we actually care about, that it's something that could be changed or removed easily at a later date, and that the selected style of railing with the wire will be fairly camouflaged or not as prominent as it might otherwise be. So that it makes
Transparent.
it, more transparent, less of a visual beacon.
Okay. Caitlin, Adam?
I agree with Robin that addition seems pretty minimal and inoffensive and fully reversible.
And Adam, any thoughts?
No, I have no additional comments. I think there's relatively kind of a small portion that gets seen, and with the surrounding plantings, I think a lot of it gets hidden from a lot of different views. So I don't have any comments.
Yeah, it would be very difficult to see from the street.
Yeah, just that corner.
Eric, an architectural perspective.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said. It's so far removed from the portion of the house that's actually the older part that faces the street. It's, as it's been pointed out, it's reversible. It's minimally visible. I see no problem with it at all.
Okay. From my own perspective, I see no problems with it, but I'm not in favor of wire because that 119 wire is completely out of context with the historic home. But I appreciate that that can be changed easily. So I have no strong objection. And because it's very difficult to see from the street. Okay. Well, with that, I'd like to put it to the vote. Is it the
Mr.
start
Chairman,
of-
yeah, it's a public hearing, so we do need to open it to public comment.
Well, is there anybody from the public that would like to comment?
I see that Laura, and I'm sorry, Laura, I always say your name improperly, Jagust is here. She's got her hand raised. Laura, I have unmuted you. You just need to unmute yourself.
Okay, here we go. Can you hear me?
There you go. Uh-huh.
Hi,
Yep.
Sarah.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So my name is Laura Joggist. I am the abutting neighbor and probably have the most direct and clear view of Matt's property. And I'm here to support him and what he wants to do. I think it's a good addition to his house and makes it a more usable space for him. So that's all I want to say, just that I support him and I think that the commission should vote in his favor.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to, from the public, who would like to talk on this? Hearing no one, I'll close that section of this meeting and we'll put this to the vote. So we're going to vote on a determination of appropriateness for the construction of a rear deck for 8 Aldersley Street. This is for HBC.ALT 2020.15. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once again, we'll go through the roll call for the record. Robin?
Yes.
Mark, you with us?
I am back. Sorry, I'm going to abstain from this one because I missed part of the conversation.
Okay. Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I agree also. So that's 5-4 and 1 abstention. Okay, so it's carried. Matt, you're going to be good to go.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's move to the next item, which is 15 Campbell Park, HPC.ALT 2020.20. This is one that was re-advertised from August. And this is to construct a left elevation dormer and rebuild the front porch. Is the owner is the owner applicant Victor Del Porto with us?
I see that, let's see.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte. And Mike is here to Kathleen is here as well. Mike, you seem to be self-muted. Victor, do you have a way of letting Mike know that he needs to unmute himself?
Sure, I can send him a quick message.
And sorry for the minutes, what was Mike's last name, please?
Tokatlian, Tokatlyan.
Sarah, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, would you like to, this is Victor, is it?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Did you get our introductions earlier?
Yes, I did.
Good. Would you like to tell us about this, please?
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Victor Del Porto. I'm also on the line with Emma Fritkin, and together we are the owners of 15 Campbell Park. First off, thanks everyone for their time, and to Sarah for helping us go through this process. So we purposely designed plans to build a home that we can grow into. So the left elevation dormer really gives us a little bit more room to grow into this home as a family over the future, and we ultimately want to create a home that we can live in for a very long time. So that's really the goal here. I believe, Sarah, on the staff report there was a correction. We're actually maintaining the front porch in kind, and
That's
this
correct.
is right.
Correct.
So what we're reviewing is the dormer and then the windows. And so all this to say that I hope you'll find the changes we're recommending were thought through carefully and modified throughout the process with Sarah's feedback in mind. And Mike, our contractor, is on the line in case you need any more technical detail.
Yeah, thank you.
Sarah, would you mind unmuting Tanya from Casa Design?
Yep, she's already unmuted. Just did that. And who else?
That would be it.
That's it. Yep, she's unmuted now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yes, this is Tanya Carey from Culsa Design. I can briefly provide you a few more details if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay, so is it possible to share the screen for a presentation?
Yeah, Charlotte, can you help us out and allow Tanya Carrier to share her screen?
Yes, I'll promote her to presenter. We may need to kick her out and let her rejoin afterwards so that.
Yes. So once this case is done, unfortunately, it kicks you out, and you'd have to come back in. And I mean, unless you're really excited about hearing about 15 other cases that have nothing to do with you, you're more than welcome to come back.
That's okay.
Well, we do have quite a bit of information that you already provided us. What was it that you wanted to show us that hadn't been provided to us?
Okay, I could say it verbally if that's easier. So basically what we'd like to do is construct a dormer on the left side, which is about 15 feet long with a 4 to 12 roof slope. And it's in keeping with some of the adjacent buildings. They also have shed style roof dormers. And then there's a couple changes with windows. We'd like to replace all the windows in their existing locations except for a few. And the ones that we'd like to change are on that same left side towards the rear. We'd like to add 2 full-size windows. Right, currently there's 3 small windows that don't line up on that side. So we'd like to have 2 full-size windows lining up along with 2 additional small windows. And then on the right side, we'd like to modify a couple of windows which won't be visible from the street since they're towards the rear of the building. And then with regards to the windows, we've submitted a possible window for your review, which is a wood window with true divided lights and a profile which is close to the existing profile. I'm not sure what further information you might want there.
And those specs I sent the commission yesterday afternoon when I received them.
Okay.
All right, has everybody had a chance to look at these? But I'd like to put this open for the commissioners for comment.
I guess I'll just butt in. The dormer, obviously, all things being equal, it's better without a dormer with it, but I think that the shed dormer that you've designed is about as tasteful as you can do it. And you're correct, it does have shed dormers on the abating 3 nearby properties there. I like that it's pulled away from the ridge. In a perfect world, the windows would line up with something below, but in that the pattern below is so distinct, there's not much point to trying to line it up with those small windows, for example. I think it's almost better to have it read as its own kind of entity vertically. So with the shed, I don't really have any big changes. It looks like you're repeating the corner board pattern, and the clapboard, everything about it is the same, matching the eave detail, I think, from what I see there. The windows, it's kind of like, I feel a little hesitant to just do a carte blanche replace them because we are the Historic Commission, and it feels like there should be a bit more of a case for why they need to be replaced before we just do it. The product that you're suggesting using is a good option. It's all wood, comes close to the same profiles, but I would need to see a little bit more about why they can't be kept other than just it's inconvenient or they need to be painted or whatever. That's my feelings about those. I think that was the gist of it. Oh, and then the window relocations on that left side, I think that's fine. The 3 that were there looked like they were kind of an after effect, like a hodgepodge. So it looks like you're bringing some order to that side of the house that might actually look a little bit more original.
Yeah.
So my thoughts.
Well, would you like to address the issue of why the windows need to be replaced, apart from those that are kind of odd?
Yes, I think Mike can best address that.
Hey, everyone. My name is Mike. I've first and foremost introduced myself. I'm a local developer. I've built several projects in the Somerville, so I've worked with some historical properties as well. A lot of history. We're working with Sarah. So first and foremost, thank you everyone for everything that you do. I think the biggest issue is here getting the units to have, getting the windows to have the proper functionality and usability that you want out of a property that you just renovated or whatnot. And we took a lot of detail into this. I met with my painters. I met with my glass company to see what options we have in terms of making them efficient and keeping them original. And I think the biggest issue is they're in very, very bad shape, and the functionality of it is not the same on all of them. Some of them work well, some of them won't, some of them will get back to working well, some of them may not. So I think giving them a new property renovated from inside out, inside I should say, you want to have windows that'll give you the efficiency as well as the functionality of a new window if you can. So what we did is we tried to find windows that will resemble what's there the best we could, and that'll give them the feeling of a new window as well.
Eric, what are your thoughts on that?
The thing is, that's not, I respect that desire, but these are original windows from what it appears.
Yeah.
And question of replacing a window is always a little bit subjective because there's no such thing as a window that can't be fixed up. It's a matter of how heroic you need to get about that, and at what point is it just too much work? And at the moment, I don't really see, is there extreme amounts of rot? Is there fire damage? Is there, such weatherization? Or because it's the issues you mentioned. Sure, it's a tilt window or whatever is easier to use, but those are, if they're original windows, they're 40 years old, 130 years old. So with the storm and the weather stripping and all that and getting them fixed up, you can get a window that's going to be just about as airtight as a new one. So before I would be okay with that, I just need to see some kind of analysis to say, we looked at it, this is the cost to do this work, or we can't get the work, or something like that. Otherwise, it's just sort of like saying anybody who wants to put new windows in can do it, which is really in the spirit of our guidelines.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
could I jump in really quickly?
Certainly, Sarah.
You have to also, you know, to what Eric is saying too, is like you have to know who to call, right? Not every, frankly, painter, contractor who works on, you know, projects in the city, frankly knows. And by the way, this is not a comment about Mike. I'm talking about, you know, the subs and whatnot who do the work and get brought in to evaluate these things. Not everybody necessarily knows how to deal with these properties. And I mean, there's the Window Women of New England. I mean, she's all over the place. This is not a recommendation to use a certain person, but these are people who this is their job. This is what they do, and they work with and restore old windows, and they weather strip, and they regrout, and they recaulk, and they do all these things, and they you know, help you with your exterior storms. There were several other people in the greater Boston area too, and so just like calling a window person, or just calling the painter, or just calling the carpenter is, you know, quite frankly not good enough, right? They are not the people who understand really how to do this. So that's what I would add to what, you know, Eric's comment.
Yeah, and I just adding to that, I was at the West Branch Library, which, as you know, is a historic structure undergoing restoration at present, and Old Bostonia are restoring their windows for them, which are very large, difficult windows to restore. So window restoration is something that in a historic building is something that we strive to accomplish.
And I guess I'll just add, I've worked on, well, I'll note that the particular window that you're suggesting, it's called Beacon Hill because it was the window that they were able to pass the historic guidelines for replacement windows in Beacon Hill. So the window itself is a good option, but also related to that is in order to replace these windows on Beacon Hill, you need to prove that they're beyond reasonable repair is kind of the verbiage they use. So usually, you know, I think we can all tell from pictures alone whether or not the windows are beyond reasonable repair. But like everybody else is saying, I think that's what it usually comes down to. So this is a good window to use when it is time to replace, but I think we need to first prove that they need to be replaced to begin with.
And so that people know, this is what Adam does for a living. Like, he works on restoration for a living, so he has literal hands-on experience.
Thank you, Sarah. Robin, do you have anything to add to this?
No, I mean, I agree that we need to understand a little bit better how dire the condition of the windows is. You know, from the limited amount that we've seen, they don't look extraordinarily beyond repair. So I think we would need more information before we could decide, and it might be helpful to also have an opinion of a window restorer who concurs that they are beyond repair or whatnot.
And Caitlin, I see you're nodding your head. I guess you're agreeing with that.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. Just thanks, Eric, for bringing that up. It's an important point.
Mark, are you there?
I'm here, but I do not have anything to add to the fenestration experts who've spoken before me.
Okay, and as this is a public meeting, I'd like to ask if there's anybody from the public who would like to comment on this particular project. Is anybody raising their hand?
Yeah, anybody from the public, please use the little hand icon that is in the column closest to your name and click it. That way I will know that you would like to make a comment. I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. In that case, let's close the public section. And so this is on a determination of appropriateness to replace the windows and also to add the shed dormer. And I think at this point in time, we're reluctant to go ahead and issue such a certificate of appropriateness based on a lack of understanding of the condition of the windows as they stand at this point in time, Matt.
Would you be willing, Mr. Chairman, to split your decision? If you're comfortable with the dormer, would you be willing to issue a certificate for that and ask the applicant to come back at the next meeting about the windows, so at least they could get going on one part of their project?
This is Mark. I was going to make that same suggestion as well.
I think I would, but what I want to do is understand what the windows in the dormer are going to look like in connection with the rest of the windows in the house. So are they going to be similar to the windows that are already in the house, or are they going to be dissimilar to the extent that they'll be noticeable? We don't know that at this point in time.
If I could ask a question of the applicant, can the applicant speak to that? Are they going to be the windows that you were also proposing as replacements for the originals? Is that what you would use in the dormer as well?
Yes, this is Tanya Carrier again. So yes, we would propose to use those windows that we submitted for the dormer windows and the new openings.
And asking a question of the applicant, how similar are those windows to the existing windows?
They were the most similar we could find. I don't have a side-by-side comparison at the moment. So they have 2/2. They're true divided light wood, and then the profile we matched best we could with the photo there.
And all of the windows on that left side of the house would be new, correct? Because there are no existing windows in there in the locations that you're proposing for them.
There is one existing to remain, one of the small ones on the second floor.
Okay. Because I think that it seems that the presence of a storm window would be the major tip-off that there were new windows. So it might be something where storms need to be added even over the new windows to maintain consistency, which seems kind of goofy, but.
So yeah, I think we're prepared to split the two items out, staff.
Okay.
But I think we'd want to make a determination on the windows for the dormer when we make the determination for windows on the rest of the house.
Okay, so if I
Or
understand
is that too
correctly.
difficult?
No, I can do that. So if I understand correctly, then you will, you'll make a vote just on the dormer itself, and that you will continue discussion of all windows to next time. And I will make a point of indicating in the certificate that I issue that at this time, the windows for the new dormer are currently not approved and they will be pending pending approval on that.
And are we considering here an inspection by a window restoration organization?
I think it'd be nice to have something that says, yes, this is what we can do with these windows, and somebody skilled in that matter has kind of looked at it.
I could have a couple of companies that specialize in this kind of work to come and see the windows and write a report as to what options there are and which way we could go.
Okay.
And Mike, I can also help give you it's not a list that we sanction. It just happens to be the people I know of in the area who do this, and I can share that with you as well.
That would be great.
You know, I know it's new.
I'd like to get 2 reports back to all of you to take a look at and see what options there are and the best way for us to move forward.
Okay.
I'll just add that, you know, along with opinions, it's helpful to see photos, basically photos that show that the windows are beyond reasonable repair. that's usually what's needed to, kind of pick the worst of the windows or areas that we feel like are hard to repair and send us photos of that in a little report. That'd be great.
Fair enough.
It kind of boils down to cost because you can epoxy anything. It's like, is it a $10,000 project? Is it $1,000? I mean, kind of thing like that. I don't know if it boils down to hardship or what, but.
I'll ask them.
Well, and some people kind of break it down into like what percentage of the window are you replacing, and if you're replacing more than 50% of it, is it worth keeping? So some people use those metrics, but you can usually tell by photos what kind of shape they're in.
Hardship would be a really tough case to make.
Yeah, I should have.
Yes.
I was just thinking, like,
I'll present some photos along with the report from the contacts.
it does become a dollars and cents thing because you can do anything with money. You could replace 90% of the window. So there's a point where we as a commission just have to say, okay, that's just like one step too far, or do it. To change the subject a little bit on the window location. So I don't know if we want to do that, but I would be okay authorizing proposed changes to the fenestration. If we want to just say what goes in those openings is to be determined, or just want to lump that all to the same decision. Like, is there any reason, would you actually start framing those things now, or should we just wait on that until the next meeting?
So this would actually allow us to get, splitting it, this helps a lot because it will allow us to get the project permitted. We could frame the floors, we could frame the interior walls, the bathrooms, etc. We could even keep the windows boarded. We don't even need to board them because there are windows there now. We could have our plumbers and electricians do their work, and when the windows are resolved as to what's going in there, we can then take care of that before we go ahead and sheetrock or whatnot.
How does everybody else think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would add that regardless of what happens with the existing windows, these windows they're proposing are the closest match you're going to get to a historic 2/2 window. The Muntin size is as small as it can get, and I mean, I think it's a good option for a new window to match the existing.
All right, so what actually are you proposing here, Eric?
Personally, I would be okay with okaying the dormer, the windows in the dormer, because they're all new. If you're going to do a new dormer, new windows, they might as well be that product. I would be okay with the proposed changes to the openings on the two side walls. Just saying that we're not authorizing the window unit that's going into them, but if they have a need to reframe those, that would have my blessings. Anything else?
So it's changes to the sidewalls, but not approving the windows at this point in time.
For replacement purposes. I think, obviously, they're not going to order a partial window replacement anyway, so in theory, I'd be okay with this window product in the new openings where there is no existing window. So let's just leave it at that, the openings and the dormer.
Window openings on the sidewalls, new window openings on the sidewalls in the dormer.
Yes.
Okay. Robin, how do you feel about that?
I think that makes sense. Because I feel like those are the decisions that we would be making next time anyway, so we can move forward with those now.
All right. Caitlin, Mark, anything else to add?
Nope, I think that's a good suggestion.
All right then. Then I think we could put this to the vote. What we're looking at is we're voting on a certificate of appropriateness for the addition of a dormer with the windows, and also changes to the sidewalls that are necessary, including the windows that are going into those sidewalls, as per the schematic provided with this. And this is for 15 Campbell's Park, HPC.ALT 2020.20. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Once again, we need to do the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I agree also, so 6-0. Okay, so that looks after that, Matt, and if you could, we'll continue the rest of the windows until next month. And if you could get that evaluation done for us along with photographs, that will help the decision process immensely, okay?
I will take care of it. And Sarah, can you let us, when you get a chance, just send me that list, please.
Yeah, I'll send you that list tomorrow and I'll start working on you getting your certificate done and sent to ISD for the stuff that they just voted on tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and have a good night.
You too, thank you.
Quick question now. Formality wise, did we do anything with the window replacement portion of that? Or just we just voted to allow that portion, but do we need to continue the rest of it for the?
Do we need to vote to continue that?
It would be ideal if you did, yes.
We should. It covers the base.
Just in case. Okay.
Okay. So we'll vote once again. This is on HPC.ALT 2020.20, 15 Campbell Park, and we're voting to continue the discussion on the approval of replacement windows or possible replacement windows or repairs to windows under a certificate of appropriateness. All those in favour? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Once again, the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes too. Okay. So we've covered that. Great, let's move on to the next one, which is 56 Bow Street, HPC.ALT 2020.22. This again was something that was advertised and has been rescheduled from the cancelled August meeting. And this is to remove a second story front porch. Is the applicant Ashley Blum with us?
She is, and
Yes,
she is
I'm here.
unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. How are you
Great,
tonight,
excellent.
Ashley?
Great, how are you all?
Good. Did you get our introductions earlier?
Yes, I did, thank you. And I just wanted to call out that I'm joined with my partner, Mike Bittarelli here, who's co-owner of 56 Bow with me.
Is he
Okay,
on
so-
with you or is he listed here separately?
No, I'm on the same line. We're at the same computer.
Okay, very good.
All right. Would you like to explain this to us?
Yeah,
Tell us
sure.
about
Well,
it.
just sounds great. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll just give you kind of a brief overview, and then I'll leave it to your discretion to ask any questions that we can shed a little bit more light on. But we're really excited to move into the neighborhood a couple months ago, and the sellers had called out that there was a little bit of damage on the porch, and so when we went to get some of the sideboards looked at, our repairman quickly found a lot of rot, and so it was actually to the point where he said don't even go out on the upper balcony. He suggested that we use the side stairs instead. I think that was a little bit conservative, but anyway, you can kind of pull the rot out with your hands in the upper part. And so he indicated to us that we would actually need to replace the entire upper portion of the deck. I see you guys are on video. I'm using my hands to try to describe this. Sorry if I'm not appropriately conveying it, but effectively, we have two options, which is one is to replace the entire upper portion of the deck, or two would be to have it look similar to what a lot of the other homes look like on the street, which is without the second portion. And so that's what we would be most interested in doing, as we feel that this fits the neighborhood a little bit better. And because it is now a single family home, we also feel that it fits with the look of our home a bit better. It's an aesthetic preference for us. And then also, not that it's necessarily as relevant, but from a cost perspective, it is a lot lower. Just to kind of highlight one other point that I realized you raised, which is that we didn't specify what we would be doing with where the door is currently. I'd say a preference would be to put a window there, but we're really eager to do whatever the commission thinks best. So we're happy to have a wall there if that's better. And so with that, happy to answer any questions or concerns folks might have.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'd like to open this up for commissioners to discuss.
I remember when this project, we saw this, what, 3 or 4 years ago, or something like that?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was in 2017.
At that point, I remember thinking that the upper floor was kind of an anomaly and wondering what it was doing there. But I was interested to see your report, Sarah, that actually goes back quite a ways. So it kind of brings up some interesting questions like what to do with it. Because you're right, it's not, it looks like kind of an afterthought to go up the second floor. I doubt it's original to the building, but it does seem to go back at least whatever you found here, 180 years, something like that.
100 years at least, yeah.
So I don't know. It sort of leaves me in a weird place there.
I agree. I'm torn by that as well. And I'm also concerned that if it were reduced to a single level, that single level structure would be completely out of scale with what would originally have been there. It's way too big. And so I don't know that I could, it wouldn't be a simple like, oh, just build it in the footprint that it is. I think it would need to be reduced and redesigned to be fitting with that, the original architectural style. But, you know, if it remains as it is and is repaired as it is, you know, it has been there for 100 years, so it's hard to require a change.
Yep, my similar comment, but my thought when you were talking about costs, I agree with Robin that in order to do this right, I think it would actually be far costly because you'd have to get rid of a door and add a window, and I honestly think you'd have to rebuild the entire porch to make it look right if you were to lop off the second story. So to Robin's point, I think it's not as simple as removing the top portion. And from a construction standpoint, I think you're actually looking at a much bigger project because you'd have to rebuild the whole lower portion as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note that the lower portion, the whole porch kicks out probably 18 inches or so towards the driveway. So it looks like the porch might have been added to the structure at some later date after the initial construction. But that's well over 100 years ago, and it would have been a 2-story porch put on it. But if you took this off the top, then basically what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a bottom porch, which is going to be sort of a little bit kitty cornered off the center of the building. And I think that would look extremely odd, whereas currently it does look in proportion. If you look at the diagram, I think you can see what I mean by those, the post and the roof kicking out towards the old police station. I have a question for the applicant. You've only bought this property recently, right?
Yep, that's true.
Did this not come up during the survey that was done before you bought the house?
It came up that there was damage associated with it, but the Somerville market is what it is, and so we waived all inspections and other contingencies associated with it. So we didn't really dig into it, so to speak, until a few months ago when we had some repair people out.
We were expecting to have to do repairs, but didn't know the full extent of how much rot it was. I think it will probably, regardless of whether or not the second floor removal is approved or not, we'll probably have to end up fixing the both levels of porch.
Yeah, and so to that end, actually, just a quick question to help make sure I've captured the committee's points, is I understand that there's a concern that it would look a little bit odd if we were to simply not have the second porch involved or second level. But am I correct in understanding that we could conceivably get away without adding that second porch on if we were to right size the bottom level and have the overall entry deckway look in proportion?
No, I don't think we're saying that.
Okay.
Because your application anyway was just to remove the top part of the porch, not the bottom part.
Well,
So
it
it
would be a,
would be subject to a second application.
sure. But again, I guess in the spirit of trying to, because not wait a couple months and understand like a little bit better about what you might or might not approve, just trying to understand where you had landed on that. i.e., is it a absolutely you have to keep the second level, or is it a possibility of not keeping the second level if we were to reapply and come back through?
Thoughts from commissioners on that?
I'm not quite sure I follow you. You mean if you came back theoretically with a removed upper level and then a reduced footprint on the lower to something that felt a little bit more stoupish? That's a word. Is that what you're saying?
That was stoop-ish, not
Yeah.
stupid, just to clarify. There was a dash ISH at the end there.
Right.
Thank you for that clarification, Sarah.
Stoop-like.
There you go.
So, sorry, Eric, I'm not sure if you had asked for clarification of my question, the technology issues, but yes, I was noticing two themes in sort of the comments from the other committee members. One of which was that there is precedence for having the double stories, noting, however, that it was not necessarily an original feature. And then the other comment that one of the hindrances in preventing the removal of the second story was that it would look a little bit lopsided with the way that the lower deck is. And so what I was just trying to understand was which of these two kind of concerns would reach higher to the surface. Is it a concern primarily associated with retaining that upper deck? Therefore, we shouldn't even think about applying for a removal of the upper deck and also a smaller porch so that everything is within like proportion.
Well, just as a matter of clarification, we don't know that it wasn't there originally. We don't know that if it was there originally or not. Just to clarify it, there's a thought that I expressed the thought that it might not have been original because of the way it was sort of jogged to one side. But we don't know if it was original or not. We do know that it's been there for a very long time because we have old photographs of it. And with the double deck.
Mr. Chairman, could I jump in really quickly?
Yeah, sure. Sarah.
So to follow up on what Chairman Bingham was saying is just that. If you take a look at the staff report, we know definitively that this had a porch on it, first and second story, rather large porch, at least back in the 1920s, right? So just shy of 100 years. With this style of building, which is largely Italianate in nature, kind of like it kind of straddles the line maybe between Greek Revival, which was like roughly to the mid 1850s, beginning 1860s, and Italianate. And the curved window under your front gable is very indicative of that Italianate style. And the heavy corner boards too that you see in an early picture. So it was not typical to have porches like what you have on houses like that when they were built. So that's what leads us to think that it was added later, but without photographic evidence or the map evidence that shows definitively there was a porch there, we can't say exactly for sure. But one of the things that the commission has to consider is whether or not something that has been there for a very long time, such as 100 years, has then gained historic significance and importance to the building in and of itself, right? Has it been there long enough, and does it make this an architectural and cultural statement to be important in and of itself? So there's that. It is a very large porch for what it is on the first level. It's much more than a portico. A portico just really allows you to kind of get in and out and shelters you a little bit. So I think what I'm hearing the commission say is if you were to tank off just the top level, right, just that second story, then you have a very oddly large, cumbersome and awkward entry covered entry to that building, that given the size and scale of the rest of the structure, it doesn't match, it doesn't go stylistically. But there's a balance to it when you have the second story porch, right? It balances out that cumbersome, bottom heavy first floor porch. What you had heard Mr. Wiley saying earlier was that if you take off that second story porch, you might be in for more of an expense than you necessarily think you will, because then you're going to have to fix the roof on the first story. The commission is going to have to tell you whether it should be flat, whether it should be slightly pitched in some way. The cost of taking out the door, framing a new window, putting in the proper window, purchasing the window so that it matches with the other windows in the house, and then doing the proper trim, and then putting in the proper clapboarding is another set of expense as well. So you would have to go through and do all of those things if you were to take off that top level porch. So what I would wonder as a professional planner and as a staff person that has to look at this, and as a historic owner myself, been there, done it, believe me, I get it. You're gonna need contractors, you might even need an architect, you're gonna have to comply with zoning. So there are a lot of different things that you have to consider here, depending on what route you really are gonna dedicate yourself to going down, and based on the suggestions of the commission. Does all that kind of make a little bit of sense to kind of like maybe put some, I don't know, parameters around the discussion?
Yeah, Sarah, thank you for that. The parameters are certainly helpful. We actually have already figured out a contractor. Sorry, dog is creating havoc over here. We've already secured a contractor who's provided us with like a preliminary quote as far as what it would cost to just remove the top versus redoing it. And so like all of that was considered when I suggested that it would be cheaper to just not do the second deck. Now that said, I do understand that like if we were to do that, that we would need to right size the front porch so that it's more of, I think the word you used was a portico. And so I guess from my perspective, and obviously do want to try to honor the historical integrity of the house to the greatest extent possible. If I'm going to spend a roughly equivalent amount, like redoing the second level, or if I were to take that amount and use it to not have a second level, do whatever sort of roof is required by the historical committee, buy the window that's required, and actually decrease the size of the porch and it being more of a portico, I would rather deploy my funds in that respect, just because I personally find it more aesthetically pleasing. And if I kind of wander up and down like Vinyl Ave and the areas around, that does to me seem to be a little bit more fitting with a lot of what I see. Again, noting that this has been a feature for the past 80 years.
Yep. The only other thing I'd like to add is I think you should separate whether or not it's an aesthetic desire, because I drive by it and I've walked by it a lot. I'm actually a firm believer that you could make the rot repairs without replacing the entire top. I mean, I believe it'd be very easy to shore up the existing porch and even replace the whole deck at a much lower cost than the rest of the project you're talking about. So I think it's important to separate what the desires are. And if it truly is aesthetic, then I think we should approach it that way, and you should give some thought to what a first floor porch would look like. But from I don't think you'd have to replace the entire top portion, and I'm very confident that it wouldn't cost more than a project in which you'd remove it. So that's just my opinion from a cost perspective.
And again, this is what Mr. Wiley does for a living, so.
And my only other advice that I want to throw in, from a weather and envelope standpoint, every time I drive by, I know that you expose the side of it to look at the rot, but the longer that's left and exposed, all the weather's getting in it. So I would suggest putting some kind of temporary flashing over it, because it's exposed to the weather right now and it's only going to get in worse shape.
That's right. And you don't need any permission from ISD to put, a temporary cover over that. To fix it, you do, and nor do you need a permission to put like God help you, even tarp over it to protect it right now. We've been there.
Yeah,
done
it could
that.
just be a
It's very important that you
it could be a very simple piece of dark colored flashing that just kept the rain from going inside the porch and keeping all the weather out of it.
Robin,
Okay,
Caitlin,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
yeah, so thank you for that, Mr. Wiley. I mean, to the extent that you're interested in providing a quote on it, because we definitely did get a quote by somebody who we trust and have used pretty extensively and find to be quite reputable. And we were getting repairs with the top done north of 20,000. So would certainly be interested in alternatives for that. But like, if I had a choice, I would leave it completely as is and get like the minimal repairs done and spend my money elsewhere. So I'd say like from my perspective, the best outcome from this would be knowing that I can kind of like repair little bits of it without needing the committee's approval. I think we were just really or like the not needing to weigh in. Basically, I just don't want my hands tied because again, been waiting a couple months and eager to have this phase behind. So to whatever extent, Mike, you look like you want to add something.
Oh, I think we do need to get a full repair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who's that talking?
Sorry, this is Mike Ashton's husband. Sorry, I was just trying to clarify. It sounds like I forget who said it, but that we actually would need further approval to get the porch repaired, but to get just to cover the siding where we did remove it to see the rot. That piece we don't need approval for.
But we're not looking to cover. We're looking. We need a repair. So.
Right. So if you were to repair it in kind, which means to use, wood for wood, same style, et cetera, you don't need to come in front of the Historic Preservation Commission like you are tonight. That would just be an application or an amendment to your existing application that you would send in to me. And that is something that the commission has designated me to be able to sign off on. So if you were to just repair and replace in kind. And just for the record, no members of the commission, and they know this, I'm just saying it for your own edification, could give a quote or even work on your property or anything like that. It's against state ethics rules and all sorts of other stuff. So
we can only give advice on a voluntary commission basis in a public meeting. Otherwise, it's ethically taboo.
Yes, but I know what it's like when you do hear comments from somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's very makes one eager. So did that make sense about the repair and replace?
Yeah. I mean, then ideally, again, given the quotes that we had received, we thought that. But yes, long story short, yeah, it would be great to be able to repair in kind. If it seems like removing the top part is a no-go, but I'm reading the writing on the wall.
So is that what you'd like to do at this point in time? Repair in kind?
Yeah.
I guess this is Mark. I didn't get the sense that we were saying removing the top was a no-go. I think at least what I was hearing was that there would be some complications involved in doing that and a lot of cost, but if that's what you wanted to do, that would be a possibility. Other commissioners should push back if I'm misunderstood the conversation.
I would reject that because I think it would look very strange. So it would not only dismantle the 100-year-old two-story porch, but it wouldn't even restore it to its original 19th century proportions. So I'd have great concern about simply lopping off the top and leaving the first floor, the entry level, in the proportions that it's in.
I didn't think that's what the suggestion was, though. I thought it was to lop off the top and then do some stuff with the bottom.
There's nothing in the application about doing anything with the bottom, just lopping off the top now.
I was basing it on the conversation, not the application. I don't mean to cause problems. If everyone's good with what we're doing, I'm happy to proceed that way. I thought I'd heard something differently.
You for sure heard something different. Appreciate you echoing that. Yes. To confirm, I don't have an eye for this, and so it didn't occur to me that lopping off the top would make the bottom look very weird. And so, yes, would be willing to adjust the bottom in a way such that it would not look odd and would fit with whatever would have been most appropriate for the period. Because from my perspective, I'd rather spend an equivalent amount of money doing that as repairing the upper deck. However, if it seems that repairing the upper deck may in fact be a lower cost endeavor, then that's music to my ears.
Yeah, I think what we were saying, if we were even to consider a first floor porch, it would require a very thoughtful design from an architect, a full set of plans, a new foundation, a new window. It's a pretty involved project. I think we would consider it, but it would have to be presented in a very thoughtful way from an architect with plans and drawings, not just marking up these drawings to adjust the front porch. And I firmly believe that that's a much larger project that you'd be going down. I mean, there'd be zoning, there'd be permitting, it would not be simple repairs. It'd be a whole project with an architect involved.
Yeah, and just to weigh in there, the whole first floor porch introduces speculation while we already have existing historic fabric in place. So I'd be hesitant to steer you down that road.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Okay, so yeah, let's just go with the approval in kind. And so, forgive me, would you repeat what the process is to go forward with that?
If I could, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to make a couple of suggestions here. What you would need to do is simply amend the existing application that we have to repair in kind, repair and replace in kind. And just email that to me so that I have it on record. And then I can create your certificate of appropriateness for repair and replacement in kind.
And that does not need to come back before us then.
Correct. What I am also going to suggest right now, though, and Ashley, this is for you as much as it is for the commission, is that just in case something comes up and you change your mind after today, it would be best for the commission to continue, which means not formally vote and close out your particular case in front of them right now, so that if something crops up and you realize, geez, that's not going to work, I want to go ahead and make this other change and, you know, just still take off the top and then redesign the bottom, then they could potentially revisit this case again in October or whenever you're ready. And the reason I suggest this now is because if they close out this case right now and you do change your mind later, it's a fresh application. It's another $250 legal ad fee. It's another, you know, space of time. Sorry, my dog is about to go crazy. It's another amount of time that I need to allow for in order to run a legal ad in the paper, etc. So it gets a little complicated and it could delay you once you've made a decision. If you are firm in a couple of weeks' time that, yep, you're just going to go ahead with, you know, repair and replace in kind, again, you send me that application in an email, and then I will send you a document to formally withdraw your request to take off this top porch. And then that closes this case in front of the commission. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to allow you to at once be confident with your decision tonight. But if you have second thoughts later, it leaves some options open for you without adding to your time frame.
Perfect. Appreciate that very much. Okay. Would be very happy to go with your suggestion.
Okay, good.
All right, well, before we vote on this, what I'd like to do, this is a public meeting, and I'd like to ask if there are any members of the public in the webcast who would like to comment on this project. Is there anybody?
I'm looking for raised hands, and I do not see any.
You see none?
I see none.
Okay, then I will close that section of the public meeting. And what we're going to do is we're going to vote on continuing HPC.ALT 2020.22, 56 Bow Street, which is an application for a certificate of appropriateness to a date to be determined. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Once again, we'll do the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes too. Okay, Ashley, does all that make sense to you as was described by Sarah?
Yep, thank you to everyone. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Yes,
No
thank you very
problem.
much for your
Just
time.
feel free to email me anytime, okay, with any questions.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for working with us, Ashley. Okay, I'd like to move on to the next case now, which is HPC.ALT 2020.23, 50 Spring Street. And I noticed that this is also re-advertised, and we have two 50 Spring Street, one in the front and one in the rear, apparently.
Correct.
To discuss. Do we want to do these together? I guess we should.
Actually, technically, you have to do them separately because they're two separate addresses, so two separate cases.
Well, let's do 2020.23 first. And this was re-advertised again. This came back from August. And this is putting solar panels on the roof. Is the applicant or applicants, Jeff and Claire O'Neill, are they with us?
So they are not here. They're the owners, but not the applicants. And Mike Ozog is, and Mike, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name improperly, is here representing both properties. Mike, you're currently self-muted, so I just need you to unmute yourself. There you go. So this is the front property, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, and folks for your time here. Like Sarah said, I'm Mike Ozog from Sunbug Solar, so we're a solar installer proposing solar panels for the front and rear of 50 Spring Street. Are there any specific questions, or I mean, I can go into like detail about the solar system, but I figure I'd try to be respectful of everybody's time and kind of have any questions you might have answered.
No, this is going onto an asphalt roof, right?
Correct. Yep, asphalt shingle.
Looking at the photos, the panels are going entirely on the back addition and the connector piece.
No, panels are going on pretty much, yeah, exactly. The back, sorry, yes, the back roof and the back addition, the rear unit.
So the original house, especially the front, will not have any panels, it looks like.
Not
Okay.
the front of the original house, but the back portion of the original house.
Yeah. Okay.
South west.
All right, I'd like to open it up to other commissioners. Any other commissioners like to comment on this?
I guess my only thought is the panels you would see most from the public way are above the porch of the addition. I think the photograph, if the branch weren't there, if you were moved slightly to the right, I mean, that's where you would see panels. But the rest of them, I think, are very hidden. It's really just, I think, that roof above the porch where you would really probably see them the most.
Yeah, I think you're right, Adam.
I appreciate the fact that they're not on that front structure. I think that's what you really would pick up on from the street. I think is whether or not we're okay seeing them above that porch on the addition on the back is the biggest question. And I'm personally okay with it. That's my opinion.
That's my impression too, that where it really matters, you don't see them. And yeah, I think it's fairly unobtrusive.
I agree.
I agree too.
Yeah, and typically the Commission has not objected too strongly to solar panels because not only are they a green device, but they're also easily removed if need be. The major concern we have is when they're being put on a slate roof rather than on a triple tap. So, okay, now this is any other comments from the commissioners? This is a public meeting, so I'd like to see if there's anyone from the public would like to comment on this. Sarah, is anybody?
Looking for raised hands and I see none.
Okay. So if there's nobody from the public who'd like to comment on this, I'll close that section of the public meeting. And I think with that said, we can put this to a vote reasonably easily. We're voting on HBC.ALT 2020.23, 50 Spring Street for the installation of solar panels on the roof. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And I say aye. We'll do the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes too. Okay, then let's move to the second one, which is HBC.ALT 2020.24, which is at the rear, 50 Spring Street. Once again, Mike, are you still there with us?
Yeah.
What would you like to add on this?
It's basically the same thing. It's just 22 panels versus 18, but same structures. As hidden as possible, trees surrounding the property, so they're not really, very not visible.
So this is 40 panels in all. That's a lot of panels.
Yeah, this was a challenging design, to say the least. But yeah, it's just they own 22 panels. The front structure owns 18 of the 40, and we tried to keep them as hidden as possible while also making them, optimizing them for performance as best we could.
All right, commissioners, anything to add on this? No? Eric?
The same situation.
Yeah, Adam, Caitlin? Okay, once again, I've got to ask if there are any members of the public who would like to comment on this. Could you please check, Sarah? Still no one. Okay, I can't hear you, Sarah, you're on mute.
Yep, sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so given that there's no public interest, we'll close that section of the public meeting. And we're going to vote on approval of a certificate of appropriateness for HBC.ALT 2020.24, 50 Spring Street rear. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Once again, the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes too, so that's 6-0. Okay, Mark, you'll be good to go when Sarah sends you the certificate.
Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great night. And thank you for your consideration and approval.
Okay, good luck with getting it done.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to move on to the next one now, which is 24 Summer Street. The applicant is Stephen Azar, HPC.ALT 2020.27. This is to construct a second-story deck on the left elevation. Is the applicant with us?
Yes, he is here and I have unmuted him. It looks like he's still self-muted.
Okay. Are you there, Stephen? Would you like to unmute yourself?
Hold on, he's got a question. How does he, all right. So Stephen, what you need to do is, if you take a look, there's a control panel and it says attendees. It says sharing, webcam, audio, dashboard, etc. And it says that there's also a category for attendees. So you click the arrow next to it, and if you scroll through it, everybody's listed alphabetically, and you're Steve Azar, obviously, under Sonia Daly, and you need to click the orange button, the orange microphone, so that you're unmuted. And I think since we're green, you might be all set.
Can you give us a test, Stephen? Are you there?
He just went. No, he just went red again. You are self-muted. So try doing it again. Okay, he says 1 second. Thank God for the chat function.
I'm just going to get a glass of water. I'll be right back.
All right, he's calling in on his phone now. Charlotte, can I ask you to help out Steve Azar? He's calling in on his phone.
Okay.
So this is Charlotte speaking. If you're calling in on your phone, you might not be able to hear us right now, but if you're able to still chat, let us know if you have any issues. It should be fairly straightforward. You go to the audio panel, and under that, it'll have a phone number and then an access code and then a PIN. And you'll need to type all 3 of those numbers in order, and then you'll be able to mute and unmute yourself from your computer. But speak through your phone.
All right, while he's doing that, why don't we start on this? And when he comes on, what we'll do is we'll make sure that he is able to hear our introductions. This is an interesting project. I had a look at this. It's difficult to get to because the city is digging up the street and the street's blocked off. But when I look at it, I cannot see how you could possibly see this addition from the street. I believe you might be able to see it from the Cambridge side, but once again, if you did, it would be only a sort of a sliver that you could see. Has anybody else been down to have a look at this?
Oh, Alan, this is 24 Summer Street.
24 Summer Street, yeah.
Yeah.
Right down near Union Square.
Yeah, so next to the park, across the street from the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it abuts Cambridge though.
Well, Cambridge is sort of just across that side.
You're thinking of.
Well, I don't think you can see it. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about in Cambridge was on the Beacon Street one.
Right, right.
When I look at this, it's very close to Cambridge as well. But I couldn't get round the back to see if I could see it at all. So I'm not sure whether any of this project would be visible from the public way, Sarah.
It is a second story deck, you realize.
Yes, I know. I still don't believe it would be, and it's in the back.
It's in the back. Well, it's right behind the bay on the left elevation.
Yeah.
You will see it above there. At least that's my contention. If the commission feels otherwise, then.
Well, I guess my understanding is you would see it. So from the view on the first picture on the report, you obviously wouldn't see it from there, but as you walk up the street and you were on the left elevation looking at that corner, you would see it. That's my understanding. I guess the second picture that's on the report is what, with the yellow arrow. I think that's where you would see it, correct?
Yellow arrow pointing down.
Yeah.
Hi there, Stephen Azar here.
Oh, hallelujah.
Sorry for that technical difficulty. It's my first time using this system, and my Apple computer, for whatever reason, is just blocking my ability to unmute my thing. So I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Stephen, were you listening in when we introduced ourselves initially?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Would you like to tell us about the project then while that you have in mind here?
Yes. Hang on one second. So there's an existing deck on the side of the house, which I'm doing an addition to. I'm just trying to pull up. Basically, as you can probably see from the plans that were submitted, I'm looking to do an addition to the deck, bring it to the house, add a stair from the ground level up to the first level in a new orientation, and then add a second level deck that would be off the unit that's upstairs. It's a 2-unit building. And then also add a new stairwell from the second level to the first level, and then another stairwell from the back of the deck in the yard that allows access down into the yard.
Right.
And there's actually 2 historic properties side by side here. There's one, I'm at 24 Summer. There's one at 22 Summer. It's basic, and they have this. There's an example that's there, and I've always sort of oogled at it because it would be really wonderful to have the extra outdoor space, especially for the unit on the second floor, for them to enjoy some outside space as well. Because right now the downstairs deck is really just used for the first floor deck, first floor unit.
So there's egress from the top floor currently onto the bottom level.
There is egress, interior egress there, but I'd like to add an exterior egress from the deck. Oh, you're saying from the first level deck? Yes, from the existing deck, there is a stairwell that basically goes from the driveway up to it. But for whatever reason, when they built the deck, which was a recent improvement, I think it was like 2014, they didn't extend the deck all the way to the house, which I would have. It's kind of awkward how the deck kind of floats off and into the yard in its current configuration. I'm trying to make it look more like it's a part of the house, that it's part of the house and then add another layer on top of it.
Okay, then open it up for comment from commissioners.
Adam, were you talking when Steve jumped on the line?
I think I was just trying to figure out where exactly it was visible from, and I was just pointing out, I think the yellow arrow on the second page of the report is where you would see the second story. You would basically see the second story portion of it rise above that bay window and behind it. That's my understanding of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. You can, yeah.
I'll just add my comment now that I think that while that's technically visible from public way, I think it's not the primary view of the house, and I think it would be very much in the background. And I think the fact that the bay window stays, I think this won't change the overall character of the house from many views of it. So that's my opinion.
I agree with Adam.
This is Mark. I agree as well.
Eric, you have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that too. It is the least conspicuous area. In a perfect world, you'd tuck it further away so it didn't compete with the bay, but it's so far back there. I think I'm fine with it. And it is visible from the back street, which is, what is it, Bow Street Terrace or whatever it's called back there.
It's a private, yeah, there's a private road back there. It's not actually a public road. It's just meant for the little houses on basically what's a cul-de-sac back there.
Yeah, so it's not really a public, it's not technically public even, so.
If it's a publicly accepted street, then and allows public access, then it does. So there is that. But it's still very minor.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I think it's fine.
And we have an itemized list of the recommendations for the deck. 9 recommendations. Stephen, you're okay with those recommendations? Eric?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Eric, have you seen the recommendation, Aaron?
I glanced at way back, but I need to reread them. Okay, pyramids. Okay, painted. Yeah, those are good to me. Yeah.
Adam, any thoughts? You've got a quizzical look on your face.
No, sorry. I'm reading all of them as well by their screen. No, I think they all. I think they're all going to blend in with the rest of the structure. So I don't have any comments.
Let's make it go away to whatever paint color. Well, we don't dictate paint color, but to the extent that it kind of just gets a background, the better.
Robin, do you have any thoughts from the realtor perspective?
I think it's a really good addition for the building, and I don't think it's particularly detrimental to the historic nature of the house. So I'm totally fine with it.
Right. Caitlin, do you have anything to add, or Mark? Nope.
Like a subtle reversible addition, so I'm good with it as well.
But 1,000-second Dex Bloom.
And as this is a public meeting, I'd like to open this up to any members of the public for comment who are online with us tonight.
I am looking and I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. Given that we don't have any hands raised, I'll close that section of the public meeting. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put this to the vote. This is a vote on HPC.ALT 2020.27, 24 Summer Street, for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a second-story deck on the left elevation as described in the application and with the conditions as outlined in the application. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
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 Okay, we'll do the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes, so that's 6-0. Okay. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
For your
Appreciate
patience,
it.
and Sarah will be back in touch with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
We'll move on to the next one now, which is a determination of appropriateness for 36 Beacon Street, HPC.ALT 2020.36. And this is to add rear egress stairs. Is the applicant with us?
He is. I have unmuted Dave Cameron, and he is, it appears, successfully unmuted himself.
Thank you.
Well, most of us know how to do this by now. We can thank COVID for that, I guess. So would you like to explain this project to us, please, Dave?
No problem. My name is Dave Cameron. I'm the owner of the property and also an architect during my day job. I purchased this in November from the current owners. At the time, there were several code violations extending back to 2012. So I met with the building inspectors and worked closely with them, and we've managed to actually correct all of them to date, which is very exciting, with the exception of the rear egress. there's currently an internal vertical ladder from the second floor to the first floor, which I think there's a few architects part of the committee is not allowed. So I have been on site with Inspector Floyd, and we've been trying to work out a solution that has as minimal impact as possible, but still meets all the IBC codes for, you know, distance between handrails, treads, risers, and such. I believe I have a sketch that I have attached with my application that Sarah was very gracious in including. I would like to point out that that the sketch actually is my fault. Incorrectly showed changes to the siding. The siding remains identical. All the windows remain identical. We're just adding an independent a stair on the back. It is visible, as I think you might have mentioned, Alan, it is visible through a sliver from one of the public ways in Cambridge, about 150 feet away. But apart from that, it's fairly well hidden from Beacon Street. In terms of the design, fairly standard wooden construction. Happy to make it. Sarah has indicated the board really likes wood, so I'm happy to do that. So it'll be painted wood. I'm probably going to use composite Trex decking just for durability, probably a light gray color. And then the screening on the very bottom piece, you can see, Sarah has alluded that I should probably go with wood rather than vinyl to match existing. So I am okay with that as well. Also, one of my neighbors at 34 Beacon, I've been in discussion with her, and she's indicated she'd like me to keep it, you know, to not block her views as much as possible, keep her blue sky view. So as you can see, I've kept the minimum 4-foot deck for door swing from the 2 existing doors, the one on the property line, kept it all as compact as possible. And then I did bump it out a few more feet on the opposite side, just to have a small 18-inch round table with 2 chairs, since we're going to the effort to build everything. That's kind of how I've approached it. I'm excited and interested to hear the community's take and open to any suggestions.
Mr. Chairman, could I add one thing? I need to make a correction with the staff report. There is actually already an egress door on the first level. And apparently, like Dave said, there is one on the second level too. It just doesn't go anywhere except to the air. So.
Yes, there's one of the strange code violations in the building. We look back to the history of the records that I have seen elsewhere, and nobody can think about why that door opens to nothing. It's currently secured, and I look forward to making it operable again to the new egress stairs.
Okay. All right, well, I'd like to open this up to commissioners for discussion.
I have no issues with this. I think it's, you know, it's well tucked away and is not detracting from the historic nature of the building, which really is more about the facade, the front facade.
I would agree. It's so minimal. It's necessary. It's design is fine. Yeah, it's interesting. Sir, I've been on the commission for whatever number of million years. I don't remember ever having the issue of visibility from other towns. Well, I'm see how you.
Yeah.
So technically, it doesn't matter what town it's visible from.
That is correct. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a public way. It doesn't matter. He's lucky he's not next to Boston Harbor. I mean, that's a public way too.
And I learned that trees don't count. So thank you.
That's correct.
I now know that forever.
But yeah, I don't have any real issues or comments. I'd say it's fine.
Adam, you're looking thoughtful.
No, not at all. I agree with everything that was said. No additional thoughts.
Caitlin, Mark, anything to add?
I agree with everyone.
Me too. I think Cambridge will be lucky to look at this improvement in Somerville. They'll be more jealous and they'll move here like I did.
How do we feel about removing the historic ladder?
I consider Cambridge to be South Somerville anyway, so they're honorary.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right then. Well, this is a public meeting and I'd like to ask if there are any members of the public who would like to comment on this project.
I see that Sonia Daly has her hand up, so I'm going to unmute her now.
Good.
Sonia, you're unmuted.
Oh, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Sonia, and it doesn't matter if you're from Somerville or Cambridge.
Okay, great. That's good to know. I'm concerned about having a stairway that will go out any further than just having a stairway. Like having a little deck out there with tables and chairs and things, I feel is unnecessary just to achieve the egress. Already the building sticks out, and having another deck sticking out from the previous porch that was already built there. I'm not sure if you've really seen the back of the building.
And where are you located? Are you located directly behind it?
34.
You're next
and
door.
32. Yes. So the backyard of 32 and 34, I spend a lot of time in. And I look over there and I see he does have a big white porch already on the back of his building. And I guess I'm concerned adding another porch on the back of the porch that's already been added to the back of the building. I don't know. If it were just stairs, it seems reasonable, but having a deck or something extending out, I'm concerned about.
Sarah, is this within our purview?
Well, I was just going to say a couple of things. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sonia, but I think when you're referring to the porch that's already there, it's like it's the white enclosed portion right now. Yes, yeah. So that's what I thought. I had a feeling that that was a porch and that had been enclosed. And that is the case. So that's interior space. But so Sonia, the commission can make a determination as to whether or not a project will negatively impact how the house looks historically. But as far as things like, you know, privacy and use and things like that, they don't have any authority over that. So what you're hearing the commission talk about tonight is that the real historic importance of this particular unit in the row house is the front of the house, not the back. And so that's why you hear them discussing the case the way they are. They're actually evaluating the egress stairs and the porch relative to whether it would be simplistically put positive or negative to the historic architecture of the house itself. So things like use and whether he has a porch or doesn't have a porch and things like that, you know, are just not, unfortunately, under their authority.
Okay, I'm just concerned with, I haven't seen any pictures of it. Dave just told me he was building some stairs and I'm fine with him having stairs. I just don't want, I just really don't want to have a deck over, you know, overlooking the backyard.
Now, do you have an email address? Because I can send you a copy of the drawings that he sent.
Sure, I do. I think I have it under my whatever website, the webinar thing, but I can give it to you.
Oh, okay. Don't give it to me here in public, but what I will do is I will give you my email address. Okay. You can email me and then I will send you what Dave has submitted to me.
Sure.
Okay, so my email address is S, as in Sarah, White, like you see it on my screen, at somervillema.gov.
Okay.
Okay, so if you email me, then I will email you the plans that Dave sent to me.
That sounds good. Good to know.
Sonia, Dave Cameron here. I'm happy to sit down with you if you'd like to review the plans and walk through them. I think I left you a voicemail as such recently, so I can be available whenever you are, and happy to see if we can get something that everyone's happy with.
That's great.
Dave, if I look at this right now, I'm looking at a picture on page 2 of the report. It shows the back of the structure, and it seems that there's a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps going up onto a landing, like a stoop, with a wooden handrail next to it. And that's going to be replaced by what you have in the drawings, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so that's basically going to be about the same projection out from the rear of the house as is currently projected, but it's going to skirt up to the side of the house on the side elevation.
Exactly, yes. The little seating area will be the same distance as the 6 steps that are currently there.
And what you've done is basically, in order to accommodate the stairs from the top floor coming down, being able to turn down into the ground floor for egress, you've actually been able to, had to put a landing at the top and a landing at the bottom. And that landing at the bottom is about the same width as out projecting from the rear of the property as is the current projection.
Yep, that sums it up well.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Well, thank you for that, Sonia. Is there anybody else in the public who would like to comment on this project?
Let's see. I do not see any additional hands raised.
Okay. Well, Sonia, I'd like to thank you for your comments. And with that, I'm going to close the public section of comment for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to bring this back to the commissioners now for any additional comments that they may have. No comments? Okay. And in this also, I noticed that there are a number of conditions that are put on this, recommended conditions, 13 of them. Dave, have you read these?
I have. Give me 30 seconds just to, yes, yes, yes,
so,
yes, 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 yes. Yes. Number 10 might need to be changed since the egress doors are existing to be replaced in kind. And then 11 is fine, 12 is fine, 13 is fine.
All right. Would any of the commissioners like to comment on the recommended conditions or make any additions to those?
Nope.
Nope. We're good with those. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to the vote.
Well, wait, we need to change condition number 10, right? Based on that comment, because it's not a new egress door, there's an existing egress door.
Is it a new one or it's going to be replaced in kind? Dave?
It will be replaced in kind.
Replaced
So we
in
should
kind.
note that in the condition,
Note
right?
that. Yes, correct.
Okay, so number 10 gets changed to egress doors to be replaced in kind.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, Mark?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Well, with that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to call for a vote on this. This is a vote for a certificate of appropriateness for the addition of rear egress stairs to 36 Beacon Street for HPC.ALT 2020.36. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Once again, I'll go through the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and I also agree. So that's 6-0. Okay, Dave, we've basically approved this. You'll be hearing from Sarah White. Good luck with the project.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And I'm sure I'll be back in front of you at some point in the future, and I look forward to it.
Good. And please communicate with Sonia next door. I'm sure that you two can come to a meeting of the heads here.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. With that, I'd like to move on to the determination of significance. This is not part of the public meeting. This is a meeting between the commissioners. So no public input will be entertained. The first thing I'd like to do is bring into discussion HPC.DMO 2020.16 4 Princeton Street. This was advertised previously from August and deferred till today. We can ask the applicant, if the applicant is here, however.
Adam Dash is here. Adam, it says you're self-muted.
Yeah,
There you go.
can you hear me? Yeah, I've been clicking it and it just didn't turn green. So, all right, we're good.
Yeah, we might have been clicking each other,
I think
clicking
that's
and
what it was.
canceling each
Yeah,
other
I got the little yellow window that kept saying you're muted, you're unmuted, you're muted, you're unmuted. So, thank you. It's been a long night. Good evening. Adam Dash, 48 Grove Street, representing the applicant for regarding 4 Princeton Street, which is KAP Development LLC. The principal, Deepak Aminani, is also available, although I'll be doing the presentation. This is an oddly shaped lot, which has a 3-family house and a garage on it, which we're seeking to demolish both. I know that the staff report mentions that between circa 1910 and 1914 house. That was a bit of a surprise to us because it certainly doesn't read as one. It looks more like some sort of a mid-century, mid-20th century sort of house, which I guess either the assessor is saying it was built in 1930 is correct, or it's been so altered that it was 1910, but it looks like 1960. So whatever the case may be, it doesn't, I don't think it really has much in the way of style at all, or any level of significance, but certainly happy to hear what the commissioners have to say on it. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward application.
Thank you, Councillor Dash. Well, I'd like to put this out now to the commissioners for their comments on this. Has everybody had a look at this particular property? Robin, you've got a questioning look.
I am not finding any historical merit in the structure. So yeah, I don't have concerns about its being replaced.
Yeah. Eric, would you like to comment on the architectural merit?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I was actually surprised to see that it's potentially as old as that. I mean, it's not even at that age of 19, what did you think, Sarah, 1912 to 1914 or something like that?
Yeah, roughly 1900 to 1914, yeah.
It doesn't put it back into the classic era of worker housing that we tend to covet, like the mid-later 19th century. So it seems like something that's just been kind of tacked together and morphed into this over the years. It doesn't speak, it's not a ranch, it's not a ranch house. Hasn't been, I think someone had ambitions towards that at one point, but it's historically speaking, I don't think that there's a lot going on there. I'm sure the neighborhood has other concerns, but that's not our purview.
Yeah, I think this is Mark. I think I probably live closer to this than any of the other commissioners, and I walk by it all the time, and I tend to see significance of some sort in every property, but I'm hard pressed to see any in this one.
Yeah. Any other thoughts from commissioners? No. Okay. I tend to agree. it looks like it's grown like topsy over the years in bits and pieces, and to me, it has no historic or architectural significance at all. So that said, unless there's anything anybody would like to add, I think we're ready to vote on this one, aren't we? Well, we're looking at a determination of significance for Princeton Street, HBC.DMO 2020.16, to demolish all structures on the lot, and that includes the double garage as well as the house. All those in favor of declaring it not significant, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We'll do a roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say it's not significant too. Okay, we've declared it to be not significant, Mr. Dash.
Well, thank you. I will trouble you no more over this matter then.
I'll get your certificate ready, Adam.
Thank you, Sarah. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.
All right, with that, what I'd like to do is move on to the next one, which is once again a determination of significance, HBC.DMO 2020.1840 Dickinson Street. Once again, this is re-advertised from August. And this is to demolish the principal structure on this lot. And I'd like to open this up right now for commissioners to discuss. Has everybody had a look at this?
You want me to first unmute the applicants?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the applicant here?
They are. Applicants, don't touch anything yet so that we don't mute and unmute each other. There we go. Okay. Honey Sanders and David Sanders. David, it still says you're self-muted.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be primarily talking here.
Okay, so what David
I'm happy
is,
with that.
All right, you got it. And then, do we have anybody else, or is it just the two of you? Is Simona on or no?
Simona's here with me.
Okay, all right, so not a separate claim. All right, good, that was successful. Go right ahead.
All right.
All right, would you like to explain this to us then, Mr. Sanders?
Sure. So I'm Honey Sanders and my wife Simona is here with me. We have lived here for 7 years. We're looking to start a family. And first we need to fix the house that's not in great condition. There's, structural problems, hazardous materials. So we're looking to demolish the house and rebuild a similar structure so that we can have something that we're gonna be able to live in and have a family on.
What are the structural problems that you have? Could you explain them to us?
There's severe settling. The support beams and the support columns in the middle of the house don't have any footings on them, and so they're going down over time. They're sinking over time.
What else?
That's the primary problem.
Okay. And what I'd like to do is open this up to commissioners to discuss. And I hope everybody's had a chance to have a look at this particular property.
I think this is a really nice example, and it's part of a series of houses, and that uninterrupted series is important to the character of the street and the neighborhood. And in the absence of, a report from a structural engineer that suggests that there's no hope for the structure, and, what the homeowner has described is, I've been through hundreds of home inspections, and those are things that can be addressed and fixed rather than scrapping and building new.
Adam, Eric?
I would agree. It plays a pretty important role in the continuity of that streetscape. And I think its loss or change with something other that could have a kind of a jarring effect in that historic sequence there. And if it's just the footings, I mean, it's hard to imagine tearing a house down for what, a $20,000 repair or something like that. Adam would know better than I. So I would just, reconsider if that's your reason for knocking it down. Look at it more. But in any case, I think that the house has a lot of historic value and significance. So step one wise, I would agree with Robin.
So Adam, I guess that leads to you.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Robin said, and it's extremely typical on anytime somebody buys a house of this era to have this footing problem. I would just add that it might even be a $2,000 correction and not a $20,000 one. So it's very typical to shore up posts and to pour new footings. And yeah, I think if that's the extent of the structural problems, then it's no reason to scrap the house. Yeah, I just echo what everybody else says. I don't think the footings is a very big repair at all.
Okay, Caitlin, do you have some thoughts on this?
I can't speak to structure, but I can speak to kind of that streetscape and residential portion that both Robin and Eric pointed out. I think it's important as a collection, as part of a collection, and the integrity, the original integrity is there.
Yeah. Mark, are you still with us?
I'm still with you, and I agree with the comments of my colleagues.
Yeah, I had a look at this property too, and found that it was key in that streetscape because it's not as though it was one at the end or something like that, but it's sort of right in the middle, and the continuity of the houses sort of sets that streetscape apart. It's a remarkable little streetscape in Somerville, and if for no other reason, I would find it significant because of that. What is it? Is it seven houses, 5 or 7 houses in a row, all the same, and they're all historic age houses with a significant architecture for the city. So I see that as being very important. So I think what I'd like to do, I'm sorry, question?
Yeah, I was asking, do I have an opportunity to speak again, or?
Oh, yes, absolutely, please.
Okay.
Just identify yourself again so that we know for the record.
Sure. This is Honey Sanders again. Yeah, I'm very sympathetic to the idea that it's historically significant, and that it plays in with the rest of the houses. Our plans are to replace it with something structurally very similar, and we're definitely thinking a lot about how to make it fit in with the surrounding houses. So, I'm happy to continue that discussion in future months as I expect this process to go. But I just want to say that that's definitely in our mind.
Could I ask a question? Have you explored gut renovating the house as is typically done with structures of this vintage?
Yeah. So we've talked to contractors, and so we had an architect draw us up plans. We've talked to contractors for doing renovations and also for rebuilding, and the benefit of rebuilding was primarily in the speed. Using modular construction with custom plans, that project could be done in 4 to 6 months as opposed to 8 to 12 months, which is a pretty major benefit for us.
Adam, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of I think the 4 to 6 months sounds like a very modular approach. which, and I don't know, kind of the balancing act of making that, if it were to truly match the streetscape, I don't know how customized a 4 to 6 month modular project could be, but that's kind of not our purview, or we're not allowed to really have an opinion about what gets put in its place. So,
yes,
I think I live around the corner, and there are a lot of these same exact structures being got renovated, and I may even do that to my own one day. So I think there's a lot to be said for keeping the historic structure and the form. And I think there's a lot you could do to this property to make it your own, without tearing it down.
Sarah, could you clarify for me? I mean, my understanding was if you take away an existing structure that's grandfathered to exist with its setbacks and the FAR and all of that, you can't just rebuild it exactly as it is, can you? Wouldn't it have to conform to setbacks and FAR and all of that?
We do, our plans conform to.
Sorry, she was asking me. I just want to talk about it really briefly with regard to zoning, because I'm also a zoning planner too. So they've had, I think, some brief discussions with the planner who's assigned to this ward. And so the thing that's changed, well, many things have changed since the zoning overhaul has been adopted. And one of those things is FAR, right? That goes away, so that doesn't exist anymore. But I believe what they're looking to do is to propose a replacement structure that conforms with all those setbacks. And now, no formal plans have been submitted to have a thorough review. So the ward planner's quick review of it is that, yeah, it looks like it could be a by right project. However, you don't know that for sure until the final plans have been submitted and it's had a thorough zoning review. Sorry, honey, I just wanted to get that in.
No, please.
To Adam's point is that we can't really make determinations about what could possibly go there. We're only interested in the historical and cultural significance of structures that are already there today. And so I hope the applicants understand that. Anything that would be a replacement would be subject to the planning and zoning in the city, not historic preservation. So let me explain to you the process that we go through. For the record, what we're looking at tonight is the significance. Is this property significant from a historical perspective, and why? And the why is that we follow the guidelines of the Secretary of the Interior, basically, and the National Park Service, which are the accepted guidelines for historic preservation to follow. And if we determine it to be not significant, then you would be able to go ahead and apply for a demolition permit once you had the release for that from Sarah and planning. If we declare it to be significant, then that starts a process, and that process means that next month we would get back together again and discuss whether this property should be preferably preserved and what preferably preserved means. And preferably preserved means could be anywhere on that continuum of actually doing a gut restoration and maintaining the outside of the structure, because we're interested in what it looks like on the outside. We're not interested so much on the inside, unless you do something that's going to cause the structure to collapse. So we're looking at the possibility of a full restoration on the outside with doing whatever you do on the inside. And at the other end of that continuum could be that we allow this property to become demolished, but under certain conditions, which might mean photographic images and architectural drawings, and basically keeping parts and components that are very noticeable. For instance, the gable ends on your house are rather remarkable, I know. So that actually starts a process, and in that process we have 9 months in which to come to a meeting of the minds. Typically in that 9 months, typically it's shorter than that, but it can go as long as 9 months. And if we get out to 9 months and we don't have a meeting of the minds, then according to the ordinance, you could actually tear it down. So that's where we are, and that's the process. Is there any questions on the process?
No,
Okay.
Sarah's been very helpful explaining that up till now, and we're certainly looking forward to, talking with you about means of preservation.
Okay, thank you. And with that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to put this to a vote of the commissioners. We're going to vote on 40 Dickinson Street. This is a determination of significance, HBC.DMO 2020.18, and this is for significance. All those in favor of finding this structure significant, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll do a roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes as well. So 6 of us have said this structure is significant. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion on the reasons why we find this significant. And those reasons so far I've been able to determine is that it's one of a number of like structures on the street, and it is in our interest is preserving the streetscape. Are there any other things that we'd like to add to this?
Even on its own, the house retains a tremendous amount of its original historic merit, in terms of the massing and detailing and all of that. So even in the absence of the streetscape, it's important.
Yeah, I found the detail, especially the gable ends, to be particularly interesting, because a lot of detail gets lost over the years, and some of the other structures on the street have lost detail, but this structure has not.
Yeah, I agree. It's significant both for its own period, style, method of building, construction, et cetera, and for its place within the larger context of group of buildings. Just looking at the verbiage from Sarah's report, and I think those two things are things we would want to grab onto.
All right. I see Caitlin nodding her head in agreement. Sarah, you're raising your hand?
Yeah, sorry, I lost my mouse again, which is why I was like gesturing wildly before. I think like
That's
the
because
dog
you let
thought
the
we were
cat
going to
in the
go
room.
outside.
You said you had the cat in the room, that's why.
That's right. Just to make sure that we cover all the bases, are there any further comments about significance relative to the research on the occupants? And if not, that's fine, but I just want to bring that up because that is, part of the documentation you were given.
I don't have that original report in front of me.
I thought the research was impressive, but none of the folks stood out to me necessarily as people or occupations that we need to highlight in particular as compared to the other issues we discussed.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was all very interesting, but not necessarily important.
Good.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you talk about it and that gets covered as part of the discussion. Thank you.
Nothing in particular had jumped out at me. Adam, would you like to add anything to this?
Nope, I agree with everything that was said. Just also agree that there's not a lot of houses in this neighborhood that do have the detail, and this has a lot of cornice and crown work that looks original and is quite nice. So I just echo that.
Okay, so our reasons for finding it significant are because of the context in the streetscape, and it's an original historic, its mathing and its detail work is still largely intact. And these are the reasons why we found it significant.
Yeah.
Okay. All of those in favor of adopting this, please say aye. The reasons?
Aye.
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 Once again, we'll do a roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes too. Okay, So for the applicants, basically what this has done is, this is why we've declared it significant. And this starts the process now. Next month, we'll discuss it on preferably preserved and to what that means. So this will be scheduled for next month, the third Tuesday in the month, I believe, at this point. Right, Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's the 20th. Yep.
Yep, you'll be notified anyway. All right, any questions?
All right, well, thank you for your time and all your work.
Any
Well, thank
questions,
you.
just feel free to email me.
Okay, thank you.
Please. Okay, thank you. With that, let's move on to the next one, which is HPC.DMO 2020.19, 24 Webster Avenue. Once again, this is something that was re-advertised. It was originally scheduled for August. And this is to demolish the principal structure. Is the applicant here?
Yes, Craig Nicholson is here. Craig, I'm going to unmute you. Don't touch anything yet. And I think it says you're self-muted. There you go.
Fantastic. Good evening. I'm Craig
We
Nicholson.
can hear you.
Pardon?
We can hear you.
Okay, I kind of figured. It looks like it's like registering a voice somewhere in the control panel. I'm Craig Nicholson. I'm Director of Real Estate Acquisitions for Just a Start. We're a nonprofit affordable housing developer located in Cambridge, actually on Cambridge Street at Webster. So just probably about a 3-minute walk from this property. And we've been working with the current owners and are interested in acquiring this building to replace it with a 100% affordable housing rental project.
Right. It's an interesting building. So what I'd like to do is I'd like now to open this up for discussion with the commissioners.
We looked at this building when this was supposed to be included in a historic district, which was what, 6-7 years ago that we put that to the city. It's gone nowhere, I would add. There's actually quite a lot of integrity left beneath that kind of curious 60s looking siding on the outside of this thing. You can still see it on the backside opposite the Webster side. It's kind of interesting. And actually, I'd love to see this photo that Sarah found for the staff for the report, showing the elevation of the road for the bridge, which shows it was the original time period there. It's kind of interesting building, and I feel that there is enough going on there that it's a kind of a distinct building, significance-wise.
This is Mark. It's certainly, I'm not an expert on the history of Catholicism in Somerville, but the cultural history of it, I think, is probably important as well.
That entrance off the Everett Street side I don't remember seeing that, but the Turkish window with the entrance, that's really like something.
Yeah. It is. It actually looks better than that in the flesh. It's suffered the ravages of time, but it's a very interesting window.
I just remember that what struck us is if you peel back some of the siding, it appeared that the original elements are still there beneath it. It's not like they've been removed. So one could reveal a lot of what was there.
It's interesting. When I went and saw it, I noticed that the structure next door, 32 Webster Street, is a house that's actually been destroyed by fire, totally destroyed. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. It's just, I believe it's the house that's shown in the picture right at the very beginning with the bridge construction. It may not be, that might be although it probably is.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's been totally destroyed now. But it's an interesting building. Tell me, Eric, when this was originally going to go in the Union Square Historic District, was it?
Well, it was going to be within the zone. I don't remember to what level we had. At that point, the plan was to have different levels of contributing, partially contributing and non-contributing. But this was within that area, that whole block, turning the corner to Newton Street, back to Prospect.
Can you shed any more light on that, Sarah?
On this building, whether it's contributing or not really contributing or non-contributing, because we tend to not use those terms unless they're for National Register districts. But as to whether or not we were going to include this, upstairs I've got like an entire, the entire sheaf, and I don't recall if this one was going to be included or not. It definitely was surveyed. And PAL's determination was, I think, on the sheet for inclusion or consideration for inclusion in a district.
Okay. So any other thoughts? Adam, Robin, Caitlin, Mark?
I think I agree with Eric. I live not super nearby, but this is a building that always catches my eye. And I think if you just glance at it, it seems like a strange, ugly anomaly. But if you look closely, I think there's a lot there. I think there's integrity underneath, as Eric pointed out.
Mark, is there anything you want to add apart from your lack of knowledge of Catholicism in Somerville?
No, I think it's culturally significant. In addition to the points raised a bit architecturally, I would go for culturally, historically significant as well.
All right. And I think we're at the point where we could put this to the vote. And so we're going to vote on this on 24 Webster Street, which is HBC.DMO 2020.19, as to whether it is significant or not. All those in favor of it being declared significant, say aye.
Aye.
And we'll do the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yeah.
And I say yes too. Okay, now with that in mind, what I'd like to talk about are the reasons why we're finding this significant. And so far I have that it is culturally, historically, and architecturally significant to the city. And that it's retaining its massing and original form with quite a bit of detail still in place, although somewhat covered in some areas by siding. Is there anything else we could add to that? I think also it's sort of an anomaly of a building. It's a different architecture to all the surrounding architectural buildings. It is just different. When you drive past it, it jumps out at you as being significant. I don't know how to express that, Eric. You're the architect.
Well, the fact that it's different from its surroundings. I mean, there are two ways to look at a building. One is that it's a unique little thing in the streetscape, and the other is that it continues the streetscape. So it kind of cuts both ways. In this case, I think it's a distinct, it's kind of like a character. It defines some of the character of that little niche of houses there. And it's not a house in its own right, but it has presence that's been there for 100+ years as a distinct.
As a school.
Yeah.
Parochial school.
But it hasn't been a school since the early 1960s.
Yeah, but that was its original context, though, wasn't it?
Yes. And my understanding from the current owners is that the underneath the current aluminum and fiberglass siding, the original windows and their placements have been architecturally changed. And the original siding is probably not in any good shape since it's been covered by aluminum siding for the last 60 years.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what the condition is underneath, unfortunately.
I think that would become the subject of a preferably preserved hearing if it were to go to that date.
Yeah.
Or consider.
I take it you were listening earlier when I explained the process?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Well, we've already determined that it's going to be significant, I think.
Yes, I was expecting that component, mostly on the cultural side. I was not thinking it was as well preserved in terms of its original features as you believe, but I understand your point.
No, I had a very good look at it on 2 occasions, and there's been a lot of deterioration as well. So we're looking at the reasons why it is significant, and we've come to culturally, historically, and that it does have some significant detail in it. That entrance doorway that Eric had referred to on Everett Street, for instance, is I think something remarkable, and also the pilasters. So would anybody else like to add anything to that on the reasons of significance? Okay, then let's take a vote on those as well. All those in favor of adopting those as the reasons for significance, please say aye.
Aye.
Once again, the dreaded roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay, so next month we'll look at the determination for preferably preserved on this. All right, and we hope to see you then.
Very well.
All right, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
I'm going to move now to HPC.DMO 2020.2013 Clyde Street. This is an application for demolishing of the principal structure by Scott Zink. Is he with us, Sarah?
Yes, he is. Scott, I'm about to unmute you right now. And, good. You're
All right,
green.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right. Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
How are you?
Good. Hey, everyone.
Right, would you like to tell us about this, Scott?
Sure, yeah, I've owned 13 Clyde Street for about 10 years or so now. I've been renting it out to some friends of mine over the balance of that time. It kind of just been waiting to see what's going to happen with the new zoning to explore potential options for the site. And I know this is, having been through it a few times, this is the first step in the process to kind of find out, how that would play itself out. And so here we are.
All right. Well, with that, what I'd like to do is open it up for commissioners to discuss this property at 13 Clyde. Robin, have you had a chance to think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a sweet old house, and we're losing more and more of these little worker cottages. And I know that this was amended at some point with the addition in the back. But I think it's important to the history of that little pocket neighborhood. So.
Yeah, I would concur with Robin. It's the same story with these little houses. It's, you know, what, 160 years old, this little house. They don't seem to get a lot of respect nowadays because it's the highest and best use of the real estate, but it's a good reflection on quickly in what's becoming the previous architectural character of that street. But it's, you know, it's had some additions, but I think there's a lot of value there, historically speaking, still.
Adam, Mark?
I agree. I'll add that in this case, it doesn't seem to be a lot of architectural detail, but I think the form of it and the type of house that it is makes it significant. But I'm just zooming in various locations, and a lot of the detail has either been removed or covered. But I think the house itself, because of what it is significant.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of development in that area on the other side of the street down towards Cedar and on Cedar Street, where Clyde exits. There's quite a bit of redevelopment in that area where the old laundry was as well. When I looked at it, I looked at it carefully. It looks like most of the original form has gone. It's been added to and changed around quite significantly, so that I doubt there was much detail there in the beginning, but most of the detail, there's no detail left at all. It is on a reasonably large block of land, and it is right on the street, basically. So it's an interesting little house. Mark, have you had a chance to see this one?
Yeah, this is right near where I live too. I mean, I agree. I think it's more significant for what it represents historically than for how it looks today.
Yeah.
And really, this is Eric again, the alterations are generally added things. There's a bunch of weird little additions on it, but the original mass is basically there. And then this style of house never really had much in the way of detailing. That's kind of the nature of the work housing. It was something they threw together to fill a need. So I don't see it as being that messed with. It's been added to in a weird way, but what's there is original. I mean, the original part is still there.
All right. And Scott, are you still there?
I am. Yep, I'm listening.
Okay, and you understood how I explained the process to you before, to the others before?
Yeah, I did. Am I allowed to chime in at all on your comments, or am I done?
Sure. No.
No, I do understand that, you know, it is a nice little house. There was one on 25 Clyde Street, which was sort of an identical house to this that was on the historical register, and it was renovated, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, and it was developed in sort of the back part of it. So I think, you know, that is a good representation of what was once there, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. I would say that I was actually in the inside of that. That's one of the issues why I'm here too, because you can probably tell that the basement's so far out of the ground that they're totally impractical floor to ceiling heights. And when I did go into 25, which was fully got renovated, it was just hard to overcome the existing structure to make it viable for the way people want to live today. The basement, the bedrooms were both in the basement. There was a high water table there with the sump pump constantly running. So, you know, that's another reason where I just think that it would really be a struggle to make this existing structure kind of be what everyone would hope it would be if it were their full-time house. So I just wanted to add that in there. And then my other comment is with the new zoning, I think these sweet little houses hopefully will sort of be repopulated with these carriage houses. I think that will hopefully you'll see springing up here and there. And, you know, it could even be a possibility on this lot. You know, you could possibly build a 2-family here and, you know, a little house in the back of the property. And I know that's not necessarily, you're worried about what's going to ultimately be there, but I just wanted to point those things out.
Yeah, it's a reasonably big lot, isn't it, Scott?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then I think we're ready to have a vote on this. We're going to vote on the determination of significance for 13 Clyde Street, which is HBC.DMO 2020.20. All those in favor of declaring it significant, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll do the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes too. Okay, and now the reasons why we're finding it significant? We're finding it, the reasons I have so far is that it's typical of the workers' cottages that were in that little clutch, that particular area. And as such, it's significant for that. What would we like to add to that? Eric?
I think that's kind of the biggie there. It's a representation of what that neighborhood once was entirely, I think entirely. It's a relatively scarce building type in this city, which kind of speaks to its architectural style and history. What's our standard lingo there?
And I'm writing this down as you say, so.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I would just add, this is Caitlin, I would just add to the language of the first section we spoke about, the typical workers' cottage. I think our standard, like, economic, cultural history of the city.
Broad architectural, cultural, political, economic. That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
And you mean that specifically as associated with the workers' cottage and working class? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments relative to the form, massing, and things of that nature? Or did I space out and totally miss that?
Well, like Eric said, I think the original massing is still there underneath the little additions that have been added over the years, and the changes that I think the initial massing is still there. And it would be recognizable quite easily if some of those were removed.
Yes.
Okay, so Caitlin, do you have those down?
I believe I do.
Thank you. So we're going to vote on those issues as being the reasons for significance. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 And we'll do the roll call again. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And myself, Alan, yes. Okay, Scott.
Yep.
Our next stage is we look forward to seeing you next month for a preferably preserved hearing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming. And thanks for your patience.
No problem.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.
Well, we move on to other business.
The heavens have just opened, and I don't mean with rain.
That was 2 months in one, Sarah.
Yeah, it was. That was really great. Thank you. Powered through it.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners. It's it's quite an endurance. I tried to keep things moving tonight as best as I could.
Oh, good job. Good job.
Um,
Staff is very glad this pile of reports is done too.
Well, 8 years ago, this would have been a 1 a.m. meeting.
Oh, I know.
We're not done yet.
Yeah.
First one I ever had with you guys. The first one I ever had with you guys when I first joined the city was 6. And I wasn't sure if I was going to kill myself for you. We ended at midnight.
So we have several other things. We've got other business. We've got minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Would you like to take a minute to look at the minutes?
I have three comments. One, I thought the minutes, I was not at the meeting, but I felt after reading the minutes that I was at the meeting. I thought they were exceptionally well done. So thank you.
Yep, Caitlin, great job.
Two very minor points. One, just the heading on the first page. It says June 23. I think it was July 21. And then on page 2, the very first case, the first line, I think there's just a typo. There's an S after 6. I think it should, they lived in the home about 6 years.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought they were wonderful.
Well, I had one of yours to add, so you got them both. Well done.
Noted, thank you.
So apart from that, do we believe the minutes are a true reflection of the meeting?
We do.
I think so.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting the meeting, please say aye. Meeting minutes, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the roll call is Robin.
Yes.
Mark, you weren't there, but
I know I can say yes, but I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
I wasn't there, but I said yes.
Which is legally acceptable.
I respect your
Legally
position.
acceptable. Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I agree. The next issue is the LHD study, which is 191 Highland Avenue, which is the armory. Everybody had a chance to look at that?
That I did not look at. How did I miss that?
Well, I have one comment to make on it, which is an edit. On the 5th page, it describes it as being opposite the Little Sisters of the Poor. It's not. It's opposite the VNA Senior Living Community at Highland. Little Sisters of the Poor sold the property and gave it up to the VNA.
Wow, thank you.
And if you see the sign, that's exactly what the sign says.
Well, see, this is the hard thing by having to rely on Google Street View from the hinterlands where I live right now. Thank you. So I will correct that.
That's the long-term care ombudsman who frequently goes in there when there's no COVID-19.
Well, familiar with it.
I'm very familiar with it. All right? But that's a minor thing that I found to change.
I had a question about the top of page 1 where it said under methodology in XXX. Is that a placeholder for when we decide to do that? Or is something supposed to be filled in there?
Hold on. Now I have to pull it up because I'm so tired I can't remember.
I just saw that.
It looks like it should be the year.
Oh, yes. That's all. So that was one of the things that I was going to say is that what you have in front of you, there are some things that still need to be filled in, right? I still need to insert the map. And I need to like insert the ordinance and all of those other things that have to go in this report. But that's one of the other things that needs to be filled in.
Got it. Just want to check. Thank you.
Yeah. And so one of the other things that, forget if I put it in your email or not, but you'll notice the existing Form B on it that was done in 1990. Excuse me 1 second. I apologize. The house is now fuller than it was when our meeting started. But if you notice the Form B, it states about the surrounding area. It talks about it being Powder House. And I was thinking to myself, what in the heavens is that about? So what I would like to do, with your permission, is to create an updated Form B that would go along with this, because this Form B is also at MHC right now, and so it clearly needs to be corrected. So depending on how you vote on this, I would ask that you allow me to correct the Form B, create a new Form B, which would be sent in, and then, edit any other, ancillary details about, the history that might be relevant that gets put into the report itself.
Would you create a new one, or would you amend the old?
I beg your pardon?
Would you send it in as an amendment or a change to the old one, or create a completely new one?
I would have to create a completely new one, which isn't that hard. I mean, we have the template, the form template. But the other information checks out, like the architect and the date of construction and a variety of things like that. Like those things check out. But I would amend the, when I say amend the history, I would amend the history by creating an entire new form. I put in a new photo and all of those things as well. A new map that's not hand drawn, that type of thing.
Good. Because this is a structure that should be an LHD.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that I put in there too. I mean, it has been, for 30 years, it's stated it's been eligible for listing individually on the National Register of Historic Places. And I know, Mr. Chairman, you had brought up pursuing a study report on this and doing it. And then, time gets away from all of us. And so this is one of the things that I had ready for the March meeting, and then COVID happened. What the heck? The meeting's long enough. What's one more thing?
Is this something that the owners have been party to starting, or are we just doing it? Like, did they request this?
Yeah, so right now this is a generic process now of like getting the study report ready to go. And so the owners will have to be brought in and discussed with them, let them know this is something that's being pursued. We will have to have public hearings, that type of thing, because I don't want this to be one of those things where it's like, hey, there's a study report, and 60 days later, hey, we're having a hearing about doing this, and without having any sort of engagement. But the work itself was needed to get done first, because that's like the bulk of everything. And then an owner does not have to agree to be in an LHD in order to pursue it. Unlike the National Register, where you have to agree to be put on the National Register, and if you disagree, then you won't be put on it. So we decided that the bulk of the work needed to get done first.
Okay.
But I don't think the owners are necessarily in disagreement with this. We've worked with them in the past. Eric, you might remember when we were doing the grading of the concrete ramp that goes up to the doors.
Yeah.
And we've discussed windows with them and things like that. So, I think they're basically on board.
And the thing is, it doesn't affect the use of the building.
No.
Seems like in the last 10 years, every historic district has been kind of initiated by the owners. Not that I care. We could do something like this in Union Square, create some historic districts down there.
Create what? Oh, individual ones?
Or just anywhere in Union Square, we could do some historic districts. We should do that. Oh, sorry, I'm digressing.
Yes. I know, we've had this discussion before. That is one of the things and over the past several years, so the last single structure historic district, I think as it says in the report, was the post office.
Yeah.
When that came up. So we haven't pursued anything individually for a long time.
That was out of extreme urgency because we didn't know what was going to happen with that building.
That's right. And,
it was a panic, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then, we look at Smith Beacon, and the impetus for that was, the neighbors were concerned about what was going on. And I said, well, look, you have these possibilities if that's something you're willing to that you want to pursue. But I said they would have to be the ones that would engage with their neighbors if they wanted to get a lot of people on board with it. That's not the city's job to do. And at the same time, even if the neighbors were uniformly opposed to it, the city or, it's really the commission, blah, 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 but you're still the city, could still pursue it. That would, That was 22 pounds of agreement. And he was looking at the grilled cheese my husband just gave me. So yeah, so it's been a while, and the last time we did one was 2017. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, there'll need to be a lot of engagement here.
Yeah. We've got to be seen to be doing the right thing as well. We don't want any more things like Aldersley Street coming back to bite us.
I was just gonna say that, yes, exactly, because, I've been through this stuff enough in a variety of different places, and
Yeah.
spending time in the witness stand is not something I enjoy. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You might hear that noise in the background, and that's now the cat using the doorknob to try to get in to my sandwich.
All right. No, I'm Frank, I'm glad to see the LHD study report for the, the Armory coming along.
Good, good.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other comments on that particular item?
Nope.
Okay, the next item on the agenda under other business. What?
Wait. Sorry.
I was talking to commissioners, not to staff.
I
What do you
know. My mouth was full. I'm sorry.
First it's a dog, then it's the cat, and now you're eating.
Thank God it's only Honey Sanders on this. He must be like, who do I deal with in that office? So I was going to ask, do you want, one of the things when we send in a study report, is that the commission, Massachusetts Historical Commission, wants to know, I'm so sorry about that noise, wants to know if the commission has voted to allow me to send in the report. Is that something
so you
you'd
want
be
us to put
willing
that
to
to the
vote
vote?
on pending the changes that we discussed?
Yeah,
Sure.
okay. We can do that.
Okay.
And I think that's a good idea,
Okay,
because that authorizes you to do it as well.
right.
So we'll put it to the vote that we're going to authorize staff to send in the LHD report with the changes as noted that we've just discussed. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And we'll once again do the roll call. Robin?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And I say yes too.
Okay.
Okay, Madam Staff Representative, you are duly authorized.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. The next item we have on the list was staff level review of solar panels.
So we have solar panels come through relatively frequently. I am of the same opinion on all of you about solar panels on slate roofs in particular. We had an issue with that a couple years ago where somebody proposed taking off their entire slate roof because they couldn't possibly put solar panels on a slate roof. Absolutely not true, absolutely unacceptable. We told them how to do it, blah, blah, blah. But I am wondering if a staff level review for solar panels on asphalt shingle roofs is something that the commission would be willing to entertain. It'll quicken it up for people, and but it would be for asphalt roofs, asphalt shingle roofs only. What do you think?
Well, I would say not only that, but you put it on rubber roofs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, rubber roofs and
What
things
we're
like that.
talking about is non-slate roofs.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I was just thinking, I don't think we've ever told anyone they couldn't do solar panels because they were visible. It's sort of like this ringing. You don't want to be appearing as anti-green, even though I have personal feelings that people, if you're going to put on the very front facade of an 1860 building just so you can greenwash so you can generate some voltage. I feel like it's not always appropriate, but I think that's a losing battle. So I personally don't think there's anything that we would do that the staff wouldn't already do when it comes to saying, hey, could you push that further towards the back or avoid this or that?
And my bringing this up is purely for discussion tonight, not for like a vote, because what I would want to do is I would want to put together language first for you all to review and vote on that or amend that. But I thought that before putting together language, it was worth having the discussion just to see, you know, where your temperature was, and then I could come up with something to put for you in the future.
My only thought is that when we as Congress give executive privilege to people who are bureaucrats, the whole country could go down the toilet.
Well,
starting with the city of Somerville.
There is that possibility.
You know, we've got slippery
Always that
slopes here.
possibility.
Well, I trust you, Sarah, absolutely. What happens if you decide to go to Liechtenstein, for instance? Okay, and bail out.
Yeah.
And we end up with a Trump nominee.
Right. So I think that there are a couple of things to think about too. So there are a lot of staff level reviews that you all have authorized in the past. You could do much like, say, the chief executive nationally does, which is to vote uniformly on your own, an executive order, if you will. No, but to vote to, like, say, rescind or review all previously issued staff approvals, that type of thing. Yeah, it's really up to you as to what you want to do. I mean, you're the ones that have to feel the most comfortable with it. Does it make sense if I come up with language for you all to discuss at a future meeting, and you can see how you feel about that?
Yeah, I think so.
And maybe you say, yeah, these are fine parameters. No, we want to make them narrower. No, we don't want to consider it at all. So maybe that will help guide more. But
I think that's a good idea, and the fact that the commission could rescind any previous authorizations means that if we see that there are decisions made that we don't, as a commission, don't agree with, we can revisit it.
That's right. And we keep a running list of all of the things that are allowed for staff level sign off. So you can always, if there's a future person at any time, ask for that list.
Sarah, didn't those used to go on the agenda?
Which ones? Oh, with the staff level sign offs that we've done?
Yes.
So Christy would put them on the agenda as an FYI that it was stuff that had been completed. Yes. I have not put them on the agenda because they're nothing for you to discuss. But what I can do is provide you with a list of all of staff level reviews that I have done in the last year, so that you can see A, what I've been up to, and B, the volume that I've been.
I think it would be helpful to have them on a monthly basis. They certainly don't need to go on the agenda, but as one more fun attachment just to see, I think would give me
Why
comfort
not?
at least.
See how many attachments I can forget in an email. But yes, that's fine. I can do that.
I made light of it, but I am also always worried about, giving away responsibilities.
Sure, I understand,
on the other
definitely.
hand, I'd like to streamline the process wherever possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's a tough call. It really is. And that's why that's why I didn't give you anything to review tonight about this discussion, why I just wanted to discuss it first to see how you felt and, what you want me to do next as far as maybe giving you something to look at or not. And that's fine.
We don't need to vote on that, do we?
No. So I'll put something together for ideally the October meeting, possibly November. As a point of note, I have not taken one vacation day since I came back from medical leave on January 6th, so I will be taking a little bit of time here and there.
No. No.
You Aussies, you're always so tough.
The last thing we have on the list, Caitlin, is your bailiwick of the CPC update.
Sure, yeah. Similar to this group, we haven't had a meeting since July either. We took a break off. So most of our time in July was spent reviewing eligibility determination forms, and there were a couple of preservation projects in that pool, which I'll just really briefly list. I know it's late, which include Broadway House, which we discussed at the beginning of this meeting, and that will be kind of exterior restoration work. The Peabody House submitted a form for exterior siding and trim repairs, and I believe the committee is asking for a bit more info on that to determine whether it's maintenance, which CPA funds aren't allowed to go towards, or if it's more restoration. Somerville Museum asked for funding for collection care in their basement. Somerville Hispanic Church similarly asked for some window repair and restoration that seemed a little bit more restoration, pardon me, than maintenance, but similarly, I think Judith with the CPC is asking for a bit more. And then the Broadway Winter Hill Congregational Church bell tower, there's a restoration project for the year. Yeah, and I don't know if Sarah wants to add anything about any of those, but I should have more to report back next month. Our next meeting is next Wednesday, where we'll be reviewing applications that have come in since.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is, as far as the church, I know it is the Grace Baptist, but the one on Cross Street.
Yeah.
Their architects need to, and their project managers need to understand what the proper application process is. They wrote to me and said like, oh, well, we need this done, and Christy would just give us, you know, a certificate right away, which I know wasn't the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that. The circumstances were different, and they didn't turn in an application. They didn't do all that stuff. So I had to bring them through that whole process. And then it was, you know, please review this as soon as possible. And I had to say, look, you are asking me, whether you know it or not, to not be ethical. Because I cannot put you in front of everybody else. I will do it as expeditiously as I can. By the way, you know, regulatory deadlines are told, and this, that, and the other thing, and you need to do X, Y, and Z. So they haven't spoken to me since, but that's not the first time that's happened to me in my life. But and I understand their urgency, but they also have to understand the process. And I think that now they might understand what it is. So,
okay, that's
helpful. It has nothing to do one way or the other about whether or not they're deserving of funds, because the organization that runs the place, very community focused, and it's an LHD property on top of it. So it's their architects that need to kind of get on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Okay, noted. That's good to know. Okay, great.
All right. And I think that's a wrap for the night. I think we're done. Is there anything you need to add, Sarah?
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's a marathon tonight, but we got through it.
Thanks for sending all the reports. I can now repaper my entire condo, and interior and exterior.
I bet you can.
Yes, we ought to get some sort of consideration from the city for, you know, all the printer ink and paper that we now have to buy.
Yeah, I know, if you're printing it out, right? Well, the good thing is, though, with all the images of historic maps in there, that is worthwhile wallpaper. You could decoupage all your furniture. I bet Adam could run a class.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you,
very
everybody. Much appreciated.
Yep.
Good job tonight. Thank you,
everyone.
everyone, for doing the CPC.
I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
Seconded by Robin. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, done. We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank
See
you.
you all.
Good night, everyone.
I will.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see.